Hello everybody and welcome back to the first book club of the year. Now instead of giving you a novel to read throughout the week and then we'll come back on Sunday, I thought I might as well start off just reviewing a series that I read over the Christmas holidays and then I fell in love with. This series is called the Inn Boonboro Trilogy by Nora Roberts, and I have all three of the books here. The lighting's really bad so it won't pick up, but this is the first one, The Next Always. This is the second one, The Last Boyfriend. And this is the third one, The Perfect Hope. So before I review every individual book, I'm going to kind of give you an overview of the entire series and what's been set up. So the entire series is based around three main characters and their three brothers. Ryder, which is the oldest, Owen, who is the middle child, and Bennett, which is the youngest. And they're all in their mid to late 30s, late 20s. And they own their own construction company, and they also work with their mother, Justine, who kind of is like the manager of the entire company. She's really funny throughout the series. Anyway, they live in the small town of Boonsboro, and they have decided as a family, all four of them, they are going to take on the major project of redoing one of the inns that is right off of the town square. And it is a really, it's a historical building, and they decided to give it kind of a renovation and bring it back to its heyday and turn it back into an inn. So hence the name, the Inn Boonboro series or trilogy. There are also some other main characters that you should probably know before I get into it, which I will get into depth about each one later on. But there are three main female leads, number one being Claire, and I cannot remember her last name at this moment, but she is a widow of three sons who are super cute. Their names are Harry, Liam, and Murphy, and they are young. The oldest is 9, 7, and 5, I believe that's their ages. And she owns a bookstore that is right off town square, and so from the front of her store she can see the inn, which is awesome. The next main female lead that you should know about is Avery McTavish, that is her full name, and she is the proud owner of Vesta, a pizzeria slash family restaurant that is also right off the square. And the last female lead that you should know about is Hope Beaumont. She recently split up from her longtime boyfriend, Jonathan, and she was a hotel manager at the Wickham in Georgetown, somewhere along the lines of this strange hotel, but it's like a really popular, like a Hilton. And so she decided that she is going to become the new housekeeper of the inn. So those are all the female leads that you should know about. There are other supporting characters, but I will mention them later on. And now for the first book, The Next Always. This novel is based around Bennett, so the youngest brother, and it starts off at the beginning, or kind of midway through the renovation of the inn. They're not completely finished, yet they're not at the beginning stages. Bennett is the designer slash blueprint maker of the group. So what he does is he's kind of like the architect of the bunch. He designed the inn and how each room was going to be made and how they were going to do everything at the inn. And overall, he just makes everything pretty. And he also puts in hard time and labor at the inn to make it pretty too. He has a love for Claire, who is the bookstore owner, and he has all of his life. It kind of explains that in the book. Throughout this novel, you get to see his point of view as well as Claire's point of view and their story of falling in love and how Bennett gets to know her and know her kids, and they all do really wonderful things for each other and they kind of complete each other. And so it's a story about them falling in love and learning what the true meaning of family is. One of my favorite moments from this novel was when one of Claire's sons asked Bennett to make little coffins for their action figures, and it was super cute because Bennett and his brothers made little coffins and put the little emblems of the superheroes on the actual caskets, and they were like little tiny things, as they explained, and they also made little headstones so that they can bury them in the sandbox out back. And it was super cute because the three brothers kind of got together. The older brothers, they got together and they built them for the little ones. And it meant a lot to the little boys because their father was killed while he was deployed in one country. I don't know exactly where, I can't remember, but he was killed, and so they're trying to learn and cope with it and allowing themselves to build a relationship with somebody, with a dominant male figure in their life. So it was really sweet. And at the end, I'm going to spoil it, but yes, Claire and Bennett do get together. And since the boys are all contractors and they're part of a construction company, they each have their own houses that they've built in around like the forest around their town. And so Bennett is building a house for himself, and at the very end of the novel he brings Claire and the three boys there, and he's about to propose to Claire. And I'm gonna ruin it for you, so if you want to skip it, just skip ahead like 30 seconds. But before he does, he runs back to Liam, I believe it is, or Harry, one of them, who said, if you're going to marry my mother, you need to ask me first for my permission. And so he went back and he asked the little boy for permission. And it was super sweet. There was also a subplot in this book where this creepy man, Sam Fremont, who is the stalker of Claire, decides to show up at random points and thinks that she's playing games with him by saying, no, I don't want to go out with you, ... And so at the very end, one of the biggest moments of the book is when he breaks into her house and he tries to steal her away. It's the way that it's written, it's not he's going to rape her. He wants to bring her into his life and to be his partner and to get rid of the three kids and just be with him, and it's really creepy. As it turns out, Bennett and his brother save the day by getting to Claire's house on time and saving her from the creepo Sam Fremont. The last thing I should mention about this book that is really weird, and I don't know why I didn't mention it earlier, is that there is a ghost that lives at the inn, the one that they're refurbishing and renovating. Her name is Lizzie. And Bennett named her due to the fact that they named each of the rooms of the inn after a different couple from classic romance fiction literature. And so the room that she was found in is Elizabeth and Darcy, which is the couple from Pride and Prejudice. And so he called her Lizzie. And as you will find out later on in the series, her name is actually very similar to that. So she is the one who ends up saving the day and telling Bennett and everybody else to go save Claire because she can do some really weird things. So she made like a mirror go all steamy and then wrote "Save Claire," and they ended up getting there on time and everything was okay. And this book turned out wonderful, and it was, I think, the best book of the series. The other two they're also really good, but I liked this one the best. The second novel in the series is called The Last Boyfriend, and it is like a green, and I love the cover of this. And it is about the middle brother, Owen, and Avery McTavish, the owner of Vesta Family Pizzeria Family Restaurant. And it is about their love chronicles. The best thing about Owen and Avery is that they've been friends forever. They went to school together, and their parents were also really good friends. Now, the boy's father, Tom Montgomery, is deceased before the series begins, and as you find out later, their mother, Justine, and Avery's dad, Billy J, I believe that's what his name is. I think it's Billy something. Anyway, they have kind of like a secret romance going on, and you do find out later in this novel. It's about halfway through, and it's actually really sweet. They're not as romantic as other couples. They're partners, and they can rely on one another because they've known each other forever, and both of their partners left them. Billy J's being that his wife and mother of Avery ran away when Avery was really young and never came back, although she does come back in this novel, but I'll talk about that in just a minute, as well as Tom died. The work on the inn has been progressing really nicely. It's about halfway done. They are really working towards opening up the inn, and in this novel they do open up the inn and Hope moves in. So she was recruited in the first novel, and now she is a full-time member of the trio of girls in this book. There's actually a really big thing with triples in this novel. If you didn't notice already, 3 older boys, 3 younger boys, 3 girls, and 3 groups of 3, just in case you're wondering. Now, as I mentioned, the hotel, or the inn, sorry, is already open. It opened about halfway through the novel, and the boys are already back onto some new project. They have a gift shop that is opening that they're redoing across the street, as well as a fitness center, which they're working on. It's in the process of becoming a fitness center, and they're a future project of theirs, as well as they have this old building that they've rented out, and the previous owner, didn't do as well as they'd hoped they did, so they ended up kind of firing him and evacuating him from the building, evicting him from the building. And so Avery really wants to open up another restaurant in town, and at the end of the novel you find out that she does get to open up another restaurant. Overall, I thought this book definitely came in last for me. I don't know, I felt that it was rushed, but it did prolong the storyline, and I liked reading all about their lives. It was interesting. As for Lizzie in this novel, I forgot to mention her. She kind of has pushed Owen and Avery together, and she kind of set up the relationship of Beckett and Claire as well. And so this novel is also dedicated Owen to finding out who she actually is and why she's sticking around. And you don't get to find out anything yet, not in this novel, but it was interesting reading it. The last novel in this series, The Perfect Hope, came in second for me. I thought it was decently written. Not my favorite, as the first one was. And the story, again, as the relationship with Owen and Avery, the relationship between Hope and Hope Beaumont, the innkeeper, as well as Ryder, I felt that it was rushed. I don't know, I think because Ryder is the oldest and Hope is getting older and they do want to have a family and have kids, they were kind of rushed into it. The main point of this novel is everybody's still trying to find out who the ghost is, who Lizzie is, and turns out her name is Eliza, and she has a sister who is Hope's great-great-great-grandmother or something along those lines, which is super interesting. And at the very end of the novel, you find that her lover, and the reason why she was staying back is because she had a lover who was in the region when they were doing this war, and it turned out that his name was Billy Ryder, and that is also one of the ancestors of the boys of Ryder Montgomery, which is why his name is Ryder, because it's a family name. So it's kind of like there are two, they're the Lizzie and Billy reincarnated in Hope and Ryder, and they are brought together at last, which is super sweet. Their relationship, as I said, it did progress really fast, but it was a little bit more natural than Owen and Avery's. You kind of got the aspect of them flirting and the way that they interacted with one another, how they were both really nervous, and then how they kind of became friends with benefits, and then they became serious friends with benefits, and then they realized that they loved each other, and that's when they got engaged at the very end. So it was a nice progression. The other parts of this novel is Claire and Beckett, they get married in this novel, and it's super sweet because, I don't know, the wedding's awesome. And Claire, is, you find out, she is pregnant with twins, and she's gonna have 2 little boys, which that would make 5 boys for her and no girls, and it's pretty sweet. So at the end of the novel, you find out that she does deliver both the twins named Luke and Logan, after 2 of the superheroes, that the 3, her younger sons, they got to pick the names after 2 superheroes. One of the other subplots is just as like the first one, there's kind of a stalker ex-boyfriend or other person. Hope's ex-boyfriend, who is one of the owners or the owner's son of the Wickham Hotel that she previously worked at. They were having like a relationship, but then it turned out he was actually dating somebody else and already proposed to her, and she was kind of like the side woman, and she didn't like that. That's why she quit and decided to become an innkeeper instead. And he comes back in this novel, and he almost threatens her to the way that she gets really emotionally scarred, and that's when Ryder really steps in and he helps her, and that's when their relationship blossoms. And as well, later on in the novel, the girlfriend, or like the newly wed wife, she comes back and she threatens Hope even more, and she slaps her, and then Ryder gets so upset he goes right down to the hotel, which in the novel they make a really big deal of it because he hates traffic and he drove all the way for her, and he talked to the boss, or her ex-boyfriend's father, and he basically threatened them, saying that he was going to charge a lawsuit or file a lawsuit if he didn't talk to them and make them stay away from Hope forever. And they do, and that's kind of a pivotal moment in their relationship because that's when they realize that they really like each other and that they kind of do anything for each other, even without talking about it, that they're gonna stick up for one another. Overall, this book is my second favorite. I like the way that they ended it, which was super sweet. They kind of had like a 6 months, 1 year later type ending, and that wasn't too memorable, but it was sweet. And at the very end, Owen and Avery get married, and it was great. Thank you very much for watching. Next week's video is going to be a little bit more interesting. I'm going to be doing another book club, but it's not going to just focus on this book. We are going to be reading Pride and Prejudice, and I'm also going to be reviewing the movie, the BBC miniseries from 1995, and the new Lizzie Bennet Diaries web series that is on YouTube, which is super awesome. I will leave a link down below if you guys want to go watch it. There are over 80 episodes already that are they're like 5 minutes each, and honestly, I cannot get enough of it. So that will be next week's video. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you then. Bye!